Hi, this is Suzi G, and last week I watched a wonderful video by Old World Exploration discussing the fire narrative across the realm and in North America that may have been worldwide that destroyed evidence of Tartaria, what we call Tartaria, or the Old World, the former civilization. So that got me curious. I thought I'll randomly type in Los Angeles, California, and see what I can find. And in seconds, I did not find a fire off the bat, though I think there are some, and I'm going to look into that at a later date. I came across an article that is describing a deluge of rain and destruction, and I thought, okay, I want to at least share that an event happened in Los Angeles that we could associate with mud flood, the destruction of the old world, to wipe it out. I wanted to show you a few little pictures circa 1884 before I get to the article. Here's a closer look from 1884 of Los Angeles. This is a map, but it doesn't really show a lot. Here's the fire department. So you can see that there were certainly buildings and old world buildings there, and this isn't meant to be a video on Los Angeles. That deserves its own video. I mainly wanted to show and pose the question, does every reset, is one of the tools they have in their toolbox, weather? And because of recent events, I think we can say clearly, yes. And this picture is Temple Street in 1884. When I saw that, I thought that looks more like Seattle, Washington, but no, I double-checked. That indeed is Los Angeles in 1884. Another building from 1884. Of course, they have the liquor and the cigars. We gotta keep the people happy. The people that don't go along end up in the insane asylums, and I have a video coming out soon on that. But the ones that do, we gotta keep them happy with liquor and cigars. When I was looking for fires in the late 1800s or early 1900s in Los Angeles, I came across this article printed in 2005, because that happened to be a very wet year. I do recall that personally too. They printed about a deluge that took place in 1884. To me, this would be mud flooding, with the mud flood theory that our history has been wiped away, that the old world was in California, in Los Angeles, California, and by using weather, they can destroy evidence of this former civilization. I believe is a cover-up. So maybe all these stories are nonsense about Mexico and California wars. Okay, we'll continue on. As the region shoveled out the mud, worried locals began paving the way for what a century later would become the region's controversial concrete-lined rivers and storm drain system. Most on the scene accounts of the hardship and heartbreak caused by the 1884 flooding have disappeared, however, the result of a bizarre combination of explosions, fires, and digital meltdowns that now obscures much of what residents back then went through. See, this is suspicious. We never have personal accounts. They always get destroyed. This is probably weather warfare, some sort of tech weapon they had back then That's just my opinion, but that caused all this damage. The Times archive of back issues, this is highly suspicious. The Times archive of back issues that chronicled the storms and the flooding was destroyed, of course, in a bombing of the newspaper's office during a 1910 labor dispute. Microfilm copies of the paper's editions between 1883 and October 1884 were apparently destroyed in a 1986 fire at the Los Angeles Public Library Central Branch. Okay, so we'll skip a little bit, but let's get back to the story. So the story of how the storms of 84 swept away bridges, railroad tracks, and homes lies within historical biographies and accounts printed by long defunct newspapers and in surviving articles published later in the 1880s by the Times. Okay, so we do have some sort of record. Pieced together, the tales relate how the deluge that swept milkman George Stoltz to his death in the Arroyo Seco started with 3 weeks of rain that climaxed with a spectacular cloudburst above Burbank and Glendale on Sunday, February 17, 1884. When the Los Angeles Herald was able to publish a post-flood edition 2 days later, its headline pretty much summed things up. Fury of the flood, great and general devastation. Railway and other bridges swept away. Hundreds of people made homeless. Temporary suspension of the telegraphs and the railways. A third of the city underwater for hours. Washouts, caves, demolished bridges and dwellings. The order of the day. Southern California up to her ears in water. The first sentence of a rambling narrative about the flood added a bold prediction. The 17th day of February will long be memorable in the annals of Los Angeles County. If one reads the Herald account, the 1884 storms resemble those that have battered the region this season. Anyway, when I came across this, I was thinking, of course we had to have our old world, most of it destroyed. So we are never told about these things. I'm surprised the LA Times even ran an article, except for that particular year. Obviously, they were having weather. We'll just leave it there. And I'm going to finish it up with day after day it rained in great sheets. This is 1884. Day after day it rained in great sheets. The river became a boiling yellow lake. I used to stand on the back porch of our house on the Boyle Heights bluff, watching the rushing torrent. Former city councilman Boyle Workman, who was 14 at the time of the deluge, recounted in his 1936 book, The City That Grew. The storm climaxed with a cloudburst February 17th above the Verdugo Hills. It triggered a flash flood into the river, prompting city officials to issue a general alert at 2 p.m. It says, workmen recounted, houses torn from their foundations, flooded downstream, with the smoke still escaping from the chimneys, horses, cows, sheep, and now and then the ghastly form of a human being were part of that strange driftwood. Sometimes the water came in 15 feet high waves. 2 railroad bridges spanning the river near Workman's home were washed away. Cable car tracks were ripped loose, dumping at least one passenger car into the water. 40 houses in the newly built Aliso track next to the river were swept away. Storm water surged into the city, submerging factories, warehouses, and hardware stores. Okay, so you get the point. Now, this reminds me a lot of what recently happened in North Carolina with the hurricane. And I am not going to keep reading except for the sight was pitiable in the extreme. Men, women, and children were wading in the water, carrying their valuables on their backs and pale with terror, wondering what horror would come next. And what I'd like to also mention as the article goes on is, as always, the human spirit is resilient. The article does point out that many people came together and tried to assist those in need. And it's always the human courage and love of their fellow brother or sister that saves the day. Victims of the flood, described as sufferers by the city and the press, were assisted by a hastily organized city council relief committee. So they're claiming back then the city council also stepped in. Let's see, we'll skip around. I'm not going to read everything to you. But what I wanted to say is look up Los Angeles 1884 rain or flood, and you can read it closer and get a better idea. And let's see, is there anything else that I probably... It's kind of hard to read on the slide sheet here. It says, our city officials are not used to floods and we're not prepared to grapple with the wild waters. Well, of course not. I think this has been going on each reset. A weather event that causes chaos. This was to destroy most of the old world buildings. They're claiming new tracks, went down. But this with bridges, etc., this was an annihilation of the old world. So I wanted to do this video very quickly and share that with you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Much love, everybody.